Wakey wakey, the Kellogg's football camps are back this summer. To claim a free place, grab a promotional pack of Kellogg's cornflakes, Cocoa Pops or Rice Krispies. More information is available via the link in the description of this episode. Charlie and the Mystery of the Missing Cup. An audio story written and read by me, Darren Rees. Join Charlie on an adventure where the ordinary meets the extraordinary. From a dreamy bite of cheesecake to the unexpected thrill of becoming a young detective. This story is full of twists, turns, puzzling clues and unusual characters. Chapter 1 is available right now wherever you listen to this podcast.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/kidsandfamily. Just go to Indeed.com/kidsandfamily right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
Charlie and the Mystery of the Missing Cup. Chapter 3. The New Members. It was Wednesday afternoon at 12:15 back at the special building. Charlie and Mrs. Amber had 3 new recruits on board. Bill the nosy postman, Patricia and the other Patricia. That's the dog, if you hadn't remembered. The group of them gathered in the evidence room, around the pictures and the evidence which sat on the table beneath. Mrs. Amber reached for a pointing stick that was leaning up against the wall and pointed towards the bead on the table and then said to Lady Patricia, "So, Patricia, you were right near the building at the time that the cup went missing, and we found this pink bead on the inside of the building when immediately investigating. Would you like to share how this very bead may have got into this very building?" Patricia replied, "Well, I can tell you. I have many beads and many different colours, but I can assure you that I don't have any of that colour, and neither does my dog, Patricia. But, as I was trying to tell you when the 3 of you came clattering down the entrance to my house this morning, there was something strange happening that morning. The morning that the cup went missing." "Go on, tell us more then," said Bill the postman. "Well," said Patricia, "you said you'd never seen me around here before, Charlie. But it's probably because you're always at school on a Monday. Patricia and I walk past here every Monday without fail. And I can also tell you that I have seen the man who whistles through his teeth about his sesame seed soup. And William, the man with the wooden leg. He moved to the area a while ago and is a very lovely man who has been through some tough times in his life, mainly at sea." "Well, what's the strange bit then?" said Bill the postman. "I was just about to get to that, Bill," said Patricia. "Patricia, my dog, was up and restless earlier than usual on that Monday morning. I have no idea why. Maybe she sensed something. Dogs are good at that. Anyway, I decided I would walk Patricia earlier than usual and take her on an extra long walk to try and wear her out. So at around 6:30 in the morning, we walked past a very special building, and it was at that time that I noticed that the side door was open. Like I say, we walk past this building every Monday, and I've never seen that side door open before." For a moment, the group stared at the floor, at each other and around the room, as they all undoubtedly tried to work out if the truth was being told by anybody at all. Charlie thought in his head that someone here isn't telling the truth. Charlie couldn't bite his tongue any longer, and he said to Lady Patricia, You say William, the man with a wooden leg, is a nice chap, and he's had a tough life. But how are we meant to believe a word that you're saying? How are we meant to really know he's a good man? And how are we really meant to know how much you actually know about him? Lady Patricia, in a very stern and assertive voice, said that she'd walked past him on her dog walks many, many times, and he'd always been polite and wished her a good day, and that she knows a crook when she sees one. And William, the man with the wooden leg, certainly wasn't one of them. Charlie said to the group that he wasn't quite buying it, and he wanted them to investigate William secretly, watch his every move for the rest of the day, and see what he's up to. This is when Mrs. Amber interrupted. Charlie, if Patricia knows him and he's a good man, then that should be good enough. However, Charlie was adamant that they should still investigate the man quietly to tick him off the list and settle everybody's thoughts around him. Bill the postman spoke up and agreed with Charlie. And this is when Charlie smiled and said, Bill, you're a postie. You must know the man and where he lives. No, I don't actually, said Bill the postman. He's not on my round. And this was when Lady Patricia spoke up and said that she knew exactly where he resided and that she would take them there, just to get this done and dusted and prove her right once and for all. The investigation squad got their things together and they followed Lady Patricia and the dog Patricia as they walked towards the location where William, the wooden-legged man, called home. After walking for 15 minutes or so, the investigation squad came close and Lady Patricia pointed at an alleyway and said to the group, We're close now. William lives at the bottom of this alleyway in a house antique shop. It's a combination of the two. The problem is, if we walk down this alleyway, he will instantly see us, as directly at the end is his place. Bill the postman piped up once more. I know another entrance to this building. It's round the side. It used to be an old track, and I remember posting there when I was an apprentice. It was closed off years ago, and it's only accessible via foot these days. Follow me. Bill led them all the way to the side entrance, where they had to climb over brambles, dodge trees and prickly leaves, and then they could eventually see the building with an old rustic sign, which said, William's Wondrous Whatnots. And it was at this moment that Charlie thought maybe Lady Patricia isn't lying. She said his name was William, and if this really is his shop or house, it is called William's Wondrous Whatnots. And this is when Mrs. Amber said, OK, now we've established that he is William and he does live in this property, I don't think we need to go against Patricia any more, Charlie. She is clearly telling the truth. Charlie respectfully said to Mrs. Amber that he hadn't even had a look inside to see if it's him. It could be any old William, and it could be anyone's place. And it was at this moment when Bill the postman puffed out his chest, lifted his head up and said, He's right, you know, it could be any William and it could be anybody's place. I'm with Charlie on this one. Bill the postman had a look around and then said to Charlie, Charlie, you're the smallest one here, the most agile and the least likely to be seen. If you jump through that edge there and have a look through the window, you'll be able to see if he's in there. Charlie clambered through the remaining hedging and finally got to some concrete. He sneaked to the side of the building, crouching and moving around like a special services soldier. And eventually he got to a low-sitting window, which was large and filthy. Charlie quietly and secretly stuck his head to the window. There he was, the man with the wooden leg, William, in the bizarrest of places. William's Wondrous Whatnots really was a weird and wonderful place. Clutter absolutely everywhere, and William was sat in a chair with his wooden leg resting on a stool. He had a tool in his hand and a strange contraption in the other. He was clearly making something, or adjusting it, but it was nothing like Charlie had seen before. Charlie returned back to the group, who were scratching their legs from the nettles and picking the thorns out of their hands. Well, said Mrs. Amber, what did you see, Charlie? Charlie told them that it was the strangest place he may have ever seen, but that William was in there with his wooden leg, resting it and making something in his chair, which looked like some sort of wooden gadget which Charlie had never seen before. But William was in William's Wondrous Whatnots, and he was definitely the man he had seen on that day. And without going any further and going inside, he didn't have anything else to report. Mrs. Amber then urged the group to leave and said that he was clearly just an old and eccentric man who had a bizarre hobby of creating weird and wonderful things in William's wondrous whatnots, and she insisted that the group really should head home before it starts to get dark. With that, the investigation group returned back to the special building for a debrief and to formulate a plan of action, because after all is said and done, there's still no special cup and the final is only a couple of days away. The team were rapidly running out of time. After returning back to the special building, Mrs. Amber tells the group that tomorrow, which is Thursday, she has to go and see her daughter, who lives around 100 miles away. She won't be doing anything to do with the investigation, and the team should reconvene on Friday morning for one last blast at catching the culprit. Charlie stayed quiet, while Lady Patricia agreed. The dog Patricia barked, and Bill the postman grunted, as he realised he now had a backlog of letters he needed to post. They all went their separate ways, and Charlie crossed the road to go back home. This is when Charlie went to his house, went upstairs and into his bedroom, falling onto his bed. He stared at the ceiling. As he laid there staring at the ceiling, he had this feeling in his gut that something wasn't quite right about the whole situation. Something was a bit fishy, and he couldn't quite work out what it was. Charlie decided after 5 minutes of laying there that the next day he would go at the investigation alone. He would return back to William's wondrous whatnots and try and make sense of this character he hadn't yet spent any time with. He would get to the bottom of it one way or another, and there was no way he would ever give up. Join me next time in Chapter 4 when Charlie goes solo. And let me tell you, he finds an unbelievable place. One of the most mysterious places he's ever been. A place which he didn't even know exists. But a place which will without doubt take him a step further to finding the missing cup. Only on Patreon and on Apple Podcast subscription for super listeners and club captains.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.